dannylau here with Lion Real Estate, empowering individuals and families with financial success through real estate. We've been hearing the terms appraisal waiver or removing appraisal contingency when writing offers in this market. What exactly does that mean? Okay, I want to dive a little bit closer, deeper into what this really means. And so I guess the first thing we want to talk about to understand why there's an appraisal is that when a house is under contract and a buyer is getting a loan on the purchase, the bank that is lending the money to the buyer needs to make sure that the house that they're lending the money against is worth at least as much as the buyers are offering. So that in the chance that the buyer defaults and does not pay off the loan, the bank can use that underlying asset, the real estate in this case, as the collateral. And therefore, the bank orders a third-party independent appraiser to go out to look at the subject's property to make sure it is worth at least as much as the buyers are offering. So now, how that becomes tricky is in this market in the moment. A lot of times, the market is harder than what the appraisal allows for. So let's understand how appraisers really approach the market. Because appraisers, a lot of times, when they go out and look at the property, they see that it's really nicely maintained, they see that it's a great location, they see how big the square footage is. But at the end of the day, the appraiser has to go by what like-kind property has sold in the area in order to assign a value to the subject's property. And so, in this market, because the price appreciation has gone up so drastically and so fast, a lot of times when the appraiser shows up to the property, there has not been enough like-kind property in the immediate area sold for enough value for the appraiser to have valid evidence to demonstrate why it is worth what the buyer is paying for. Appraisers, a lot of times, look at the comps, and the comps live in the past. And so the comps always lag behind the current market, and it takes a couple months to catch up. So in a really high, fast, rapid racing market, appraisals tend to be an issue. And that being said, the sellers are being smart. They understand that, okay, when I list a property and this is what I'm asking for, because chances are I'm able to fetch this offer price. However, because appraisal tend to be an issue, rather than having the buyer call out the appraiser to come out and assess the property and then come back to renegotiate the price down the road, they a lot of times, in order for a offer having a chance to be accepted, either the sellers will require it, or because other buyers are doing it, then for you, this particular subject buyer also needs to remove the appraisal contingency in order to be competitive amongst all other buyers. And so the seller will require for the appraisal contingency to be removed so that even if the appraisal comes in short, that does not become a hindrance for the transaction. So now, where that becomes also another layer of challenging is, let's say the property you're writing an offer on is, you write the offer at $500,000, and then the appraisal comes in at $480,000. Okay, so now we have a $20,000 difference. When we see a $20,000 difference, now the question is, do you as the buyer have enough cash out of pockets to cover that $20,000? Because if you are a buyer with a 3% down payment, 3% out of a $500,000 house is $15,000. And so if you are 3% down payment and you have $15,000 go towards down payment, well, that still leaves a $5,000 gap so that you as the buyer don't have enough cash to cover. And now that runs into an issue. So that's why, or that's at least one of the reasons why conventional offers with 20% down tend to be more attractive when a seller is choosing offers. It's because it's less likely to fall out of contracts, is a little easier than all the other loan types to do, and on top of which the 20% down payment can cover some sort of gap when it comes to appraisal issues. As the buyer, how do you know that, well, you're not overpaying for the property if the appraiser is assigning a lower value to your house? Now, at the end of the day, any sort of market is supply and demand. And so when you're writing the offer at $500,000 and you know that there's another 5 offers written at $5 to $510, you are not overpaying in this particular market. Because supply and demand dictates that, hey, there's other people who is also demanding it at the similar price, if not higher. And so just understand that the appraisal challenge becomes a hindrance because appraisers cannot use comps and project what may come down the road. Instead, they must use what is already on the books. So I hope this gives a little insight on why appraisal is a sticking point in the current market when it comes to real estate transactions. And if you have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and we will see you next time. This is Danny Lau.